Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Money and Me podcast by the Coin Republic. I am your host, Varuni, and yet again, we bring a super interesting guest from the field of Web3, crypto, and AI, like we talk about all the emerging technologies on our platform. And today, we have a really interesting guest. He is Raj K, who's the Chief Product Officer at IO.net. But that's not it. He has quite a few accomplishments under his wings, which we'll be talking about throughout this episode. Really happy to have you here, Raj. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Varuni. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, it's finally lovely to see someone like you present here who's grown so much and has gone from Web 2 to Web 3, which is a story that I love to dig deeper into. And if I'm not wrong, you've worked with Uber, you've worked with Uber Eats, you've spent a long time in the South Asian region, sort of developing marketing for brands that are in the top in their sector. And of course, you worked at Binance right before IO.net as earlier the India lead and then as a lead in Dubai. So we'd love to know a little bit more about your journey. How did that switch from Web 2 to Web 3 happen? And tell us all about working at an exchange like Binance. What was your role? And of course, finally at IO.net, what are you up to these days?
Sure. So I'll try to be slightly brief on this, but essentially, I started my career in consulting in Accenture strategy, and coming from a background of MBA from IIM Calcutta and graduation from IIT Delhi. So I think that was the most common path which a lot of people in my batch were choosing. But in consulting, one thing which was lacking for me was I wanted a more flavor of execution. And then Uber happened for me. I joined the Uber Gurgaon office, which was the HQ of India. Started working on the vehicle solutions vertical, which is all the drivers who do not have a car, which was a big population in India. So they used to take cars on loans, leases, drive for someone else. So I used to develop the operations of that side of things. But something which was always playing in my mind when I joined Uber in 2017 was I always felt I was late. So I always wanted to join something more early. And I think when COVID happened, so Uber moved into work from home. And I could see like COVID would have an impact on the logistics business overall. So the blessing in disguise which actually came about was I was keeping tabs on crypto as an industry. I was like an investor early 2017 before the ban. And what I saw was Supreme Court took away the RBI ban. And interestingly, one of my ex-colleagues in Uber had just joined Binance. So they were looking for someone for India market. And that's how my journey with Binance started in June of 2020. And I think, yeah, since then it has been quite exciting. So like Binance in its own right is a whole together new journey. Um I used to think about company values like more like something to write on websites, to be honest, like what you memorize for interviews for those companies and those kind of stuff. But Binance truly lived by the community value. And you have to see it to believe it of sorts. Like when you're in that shoes, when you're working there, like the pressure a community issue can create for you versus anything else, versus a regulatory issue, versus anything else. So I think I got to learn that from the real people in this industry. That pivoted me to try something more, I would say, edgy. So something which is more nuanced, which is IO.net. So IO.net is actually a company that does decentralized compute. Like a very vague way of saying it is we provide cloud machines or different versions of cloud features to different people or clients globally. Very similar to services like AWS, but we are much more friendly to, let's say, early stage startups, Web3 startups, AI startups, which typically will not get the same love from, let's say, a big brand like AWS. And we recently, in the last 8 months, also ventured into our own open source AI stack. So I can go into more details of that as we move forward. But that's what I'm doing right now for the last past 1 year.
So finally, I'm sure that you're contributing to early stage growth for IO.net, and it's a project that's definitely revolutionizing the cloud space. You've mentioned how your expertise is in the Web3, cloud compute, AI sector. Of course, when AI came into play, it was a word that sort of everyone had on their mouth. I think even my grandmother spoke about AI and ChatGPT. So When we talk
Mhm.
about it at a more developer level or at a more enterprise level, how do we bring all of these technologies together? Where's the convergence sort of happening, and where does IO.net play into the entire narrative?
Fair. I think the major convergence for any industry starts with utility. So, right now, the most utility which people are extracting from AI is how they can take their, let's say, whatever work they're doing at a level to another level. So, whether I'm doing homework for my kid, or whether I'm preparing something in my college, or whether I'm writing my own code. So, I could do, let's say, X level of performance. So, AI helps me take that to X plus something more. So that utility has sort of been proven out now versus anything else. Like I'm not going into the robots out there will do something like will change, will make a new mind of AI or something like that. It boils down to something very simple, which is utility. So the utility of AI right now is sort of clearly understood. And when we speak about developers, so one place where developers always struggled with or have been struggling with in general is how to take an idea which they have in their mind to mass market. So they always had to go out there, raise funds. They had to find people of non tech background to help them do sales and all of that. Today, they can actually create a lot of AI agents that actually can do a very good job at it. It does not mean replacing the human element out of it, but it just means the velocity of testing an idea is now very less. If a developer has an idea, they want to make it, they can quickly code the thing out with the support of AI. Then they can have AI agents that can help them in social media, that can help them in setting up financing of it, that can help them even set up like how to manage, let's say, very intricate stuff like how to manage legal contracts and those kind of aspects. It does not mean it takes away the age old wisdom which is sitting in all of these domains. It just means like now you have a faster jumpstart at a very low cost. So I think that's one place where developers across the world are gaining from. And when I speak about open source AI, it actually gives you one more layer where it's because of the nature of being open source, you have much more confidence that what you're building cannot be stolen from you. So if you're making your GitHub repository in a way that's semi-private or fully public, whatever, but the logic of your code purpose is known to you only, and open source models also have very clear way of articulating how the model works and everything. So you know the limitation of that model, you know what that model is tracking or not tracking, and you know what you want to get out of that model. So it brings a very good trinity between all of these three concepts together, and where a developer, I think a lot of much more experienced and wise people in this industry have said like the next $1 billion startups will actually come from sub 10 team members, which is practically true now. So yeah.
Yep, makes sense. When we talk about a space like cloud, and you rightly mentioned that a lot of the users or renters that say come to IO.net are companies that wouldn't get the same sort of respect at AWS or another cloud service offerer. So how does io.net have an edge here? And more often than not, when we talk to common men, or when we talk to developers coming in from tier 2 countries or regions, we often see them divided between a brand like AWS, which has of course been in existence for a lot long, but in terms of finances or in terms of services can offer a tad bit less as compared to someone like io.net. If you have to speak to your customers, what is that one thing that you guys offer in terms of say offerings? And so how does io.net have an edge with brands like AWS? If you can dive a little bit deeper into that, Raj.
Fair. So I think I first want to probably give a shout out like AWS has sort of defined this industry.
Absolutely.
So whatever we are doing, we learn from them. But probably what they're hitting is the size of scale. So for them today, a meaningful client is someone who's willing to give them, let's say, a few $1 million as a compute bill on a regular basis. But that automatically, when you think about it, let's say there's a founder out there who has even like 1 million or half a million raised as a pre-seed money. They do not have the pockets to shell out $1 million for getting AWS attention or anyone's attention on that scale. So we actually sort of plug in very well in this early stage phase, which is very experimentational, where there's a very high drive for customizations, flexibility, inventory spread across the world, which probably a player of the size of Web2 cloud providers cannot play in easily. So it's not like we are giving you custom solutions, but typically we are sort of like a marketplace. So we have machines in 130 plus countries, right? While someone like a Web2 player, they will actually have machines which they have bought, and they actually have a pressure to sell the machines which they have bought first. We are a marketplace, so we have no pressure to sell a machine. If you want a machine in India, we can give you a machine in India. If you want in Japan, we can give you in Japan, because we are going after this in a very Uber style, which is there are assets out there which are underutilized. We created a marketplace where suppliers are incentivized to put their machines online, get it tested by us, where we can ensure this quality. And that automatically guarantees us that we end up making a very big enough network to compete with a Web2 provider without even buying a machine. So with these two paradigms, we actually, if I narrow this down to my client today, I would actually tell them that, hey, with us, you have flexibility. You can choose the machine where you want, when you want. With us, you have more understanding on feature related aspects. So, for example, if you want a very specific feature which is needed for you, and we see there's a potential that with that feature we can scale to multiple clients, so we'll build that feature for you, because we are early stage startup right now. Correct. So we learned a lot from our clients in the last 1 year essentially. Nothing which we're making is something in a black box, because we are actually taking inputs from our clients and we're building based on that. And we realized that when you listen to your clients, which going back to the Binance community angle, you end up getting more clients of that similar nature. So with that aspect, we are easily able to provide a flexible, a solution which people can rely on. And the major, I would say, uplift for us is to ensure that everything in our network is of the same compliance, same quality as a Web2 provider provides. So we took SOC 2 compliance. We have remote monitoring of all the machines on our network, so that like you can have that SLA of 99.9%, which typically is given by a Web2 provider. So you do not feel a lack of quality in this whole gimmick. So I think that's how we typically set these things up.
Yeah, sounds like a great funnel system. Of course,
Yeah.
we cannot deny with the number of clients that a lot of distributed computing providers are seeing that there is a rapid rise, especially after AI and ML, or the intersection of both. Now, what segments in the market are you seeing more demand from? If you can maybe talk about certain sectors and their growth over the years.
Fair. So interestingly, when the AI revolution came in the Web2 side of the world, it actually was very region specific. So it was actually in North America, which sort of minused everything else outside of North America. So a lot of the AI startups, like startups in Korea, startups in India, startups even in Middle East, when they wanted similar solutions, they could get the compute, but they could not get the AI stack, which we ended up making. So a lot of these startups, like let's say there's a couple of startups coming out from Korea which are doing image gen. There are a couple of startups coming out of Middle East that are doing like sound related model training. So these early stage startups which are in the AI space but not getting the same love, let's say from a North American provider like we could give them because we're closer home. So those were the clients that came to us the first. That was one. Then based on those clients' success, we actually ended up getting the higher, I would say, segment of firms in the same sector. So when we service, let's say, the first AI image startup, so then the AI image startups automatically started noticing us. And when we service the first AI, let's say, sound creation model startup, so they are doing model training on sound and songs and all of that side. So we started getting more attention from other startups in that space, because it's a very small space. So the moment you put out a case study, you put out an AMA with any of these people, others do notice that. Parallelly, there's a very big effort which we are doing, which is to go and talk to the Web2 major AI solution providers also. So any company that is typically looking for AI solutions, whether from a big provider like a Web2 company like GCP, Amazon, those places, or they're looking for a low cost solution. So they are also coming to us because we are running like a decent set of activations. We are present in almost all major Web2 cloud events also. So we are seeing a lot of that funneling of leads coming from there as well. We have actually signed a very major movie production house in India, just for context, because that is the place where like they knew their bills on the GCP side of things, AWS side of things were going very high. So they wanted something which was more compatible with the AI thing they were doing in house. So similarly, we have similar discussions with a couple of universities in US. So for example, I think Stanford University is one who signed a contract with us because they had a small lab that was doing something in robotics. They were not getting the same kind of a dedicated support or attention from a product standpoint from other big players. So I think we have sort of been in multiple verticals by now, which is proving that our product works across different specs of things. And now what we're doing is we're making it more enterprise. So we are allowing people to have credits to use multiple products at one go. They do not need to pay by product. We are allowing API access that they can deploy multiple cloud containers on our platform without even entering the website. So becoming more enterprise also, similar to like the Web2 players, but at the same time not losing our root, which is early stage startups in the AI space who need more attention, I would say.
Absolutely. So you
Yeah.
interestingly mentioned that not just early stage Web3 startups, but also a lot of Web2 startups might be pivoting from brands like Amazon and GCP to
Yeah.
now IO.net. So do you think that the market share is going to sort of topple because at the moment it's rather centralized towards brands like Amazon or GCP? If you can talk briefly about what the market share currently looks like in terms of these centralized entities versus more decentralized cloud computing options like yourself, and how are the statistics going to change as we move forward, and are we talking big number changes here, or
Mhm.
maybe a minor shift in the market?
Fair. So I think I don't know the exact numbers on the top of my mind, but let me tell you, like, by direction where it is right now. So if you look at the overall compute space, and let's take AI startups as a category. So a lot of, I would say 70-80% of this is right now split across the major cloud providers, which is AWS, GCP, and I would say even Oracle and some other
Yeah.
compute providers. For example, OpenAI signed the $300 billion deal with
Right.
Oracle recently.
Yep.
So the big deals, which is like any AI startup that is going 1 billion plus in terms of valuation, funding, and all of those aspects, they typically are tied up in this ecosystem, which makes fair also because they are looking for the brand collaboration also at that level. But then after that, there's this whole curve of very small startups which have like 100, 200, 300, 500 million kind of evaluations, who are actually either being serviced by hyperscalers in Web2, which is essentially two or three data centers combined into a company. And let's say there would be a hyperscaler in North America, there would be a hyperscaler in Europe, there would be a hyperscaler in Greater China, and these kind of places. Even India has a few hyperscalers. So these hyperscalers go after this 20, 30% of the market which is left. Fair. So where we come in is, so we actually are in the same 20, 30% market, but because we have a global reach, so a lot of times hyperscalers are not able to sell to the same intensity like we can. So that is why like a lot of hyperscalers also want to collaborate with us, where they want to expose their inventory on our platform so that if someone wants to use inventory in North America, so instead of the hyperscaler fully investing in building the demand pipeline of getting, let's say, Asia startup to buy a machine in North America, they go via us.
Makes sense.
And that's essentially the beauty of a marketplace. Like you aggregate the supply and then you start chasing the demand, and demand can easily be spread across. So we are actually operating in this 20 to 30% space. But where I see the difference of this space versus, I would say, last year or the upcoming years is every company in the AI space is noticing how much they're paying on the compute side. They are seeing that the bill is actually much bigger. It's actually even bigger than the cost you would be investing in the technology and the team itself. So even big companies are shopping around. They are going to hyperscalers. They are coming to us just to see how much they can save on the bills. We have many active pilots which are already going on with established AI companies, just because they are feeling the heat of that bill on them as well. And I think if I have to put it simply, it's a new price discovery. Like when Airbnb and Uber happened, so they, if not anything else, they helped in setting up a new price discovery in every city. So you now know what a taxi in, for example, Delhi should cost. Airbnb allows you to have a view on what a, let's say, a 3-star or a 4-star hotel in a major holiday destination should cost. So that price discovery element is causing a lot of movement, and I think it will keep on continuing as we scale as well.
Absolutely. So, for
Yeah.
sure, the evolution that we'll see for decentralized AI marketplaces is going to be massive. if you can also address how IO.net is sort of trying to stay ahead of the curve. And I'm sure there are a lot of other competitors in the market emerging from the decentralized space as well. Um, Again, why choose IO.net is a question that maybe a lot of people in the decentralized market might also have. So, what's your two cents on those?
Fair. So I think since I come from the product side of things, I would say a lot of the people in the decentralized space say they have products, but I think we are one of the few who have working products that can work at an enterprise scale. And this is not because we have just tested it. So a lot of the clients who we have got have actually tested and run their workloads without any other dependency and have been able to service clients and continue to service clients. So one is this. I think for any startup, the biggest downside could be lack of a reliable infra. So if you don't have a reliable infra, your customers will go away. Customers have very little attention today.
That's true.
So if I come to an AI application is not working, I will never come to that application again. So that reliability aspect is something which probably I as a personal agenda drive very aggressively, and all the leaders in my company also drive. So one thing which you will see is we have reliable supply, we have reliable stack, and we have reliable stack both on the cloud and the AI side.
Interesting.
So we are actually trying to abstract this whole thing that, hey, if you want to do something in AI today, why do you want to buy a machine? Just buy a model hosted on a machine as an API, and then you focus on selling to your customer. Do not go through the hassle of doing all of that. IO can manage that for you. So I think that's the differentiation which you're targeting. And we are sort of like, if you visualize this as a pyramid, so the bottom layer is the compute layer, which we already conquered at some level. The second layer is the AI infra. So we have model hosting, we have RAG, which is essentially document assisted inference. We have training as service where you can fine tune models and do everything. All of this is currently available in the IO stack in the production version. And the next iteration of this is AI agents, because a lot of the major companies like ChatGPT are running on AI agents under the hood. So AI agents, if we go back to the example I gave you of a developer, so AI agents allow a developer to run a full company without hiring any other human. So we are venturing into the AI agent stack as well, and that completes the whole pyramid of this whole vertical. Like it becomes like a turnkey solution. If, for example, you want to make your podcast fully AI enabled, you can just go to IO and you can buy the whole stack and plug it to your site.
One
So
stop.
that's what we're looking for, which is our core differentiation.
Absolutely. So that would be like a one stop solution for all things
Yes.
AI. Interesting.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about adoption and scaling up, I think even for IO.net as a company, you guys have done pretty amazing over the last couple of years. But when we talk about mass adoption, from here, what's the way forward? How is the roadmap looking like for you guys? And while you're addressing this, Raj, also talk about some key challenges that you guys as leaders or entrepreneurs face in this rather new space, I'd say.
Fair. I think the first is a technical barrier, I would say, which is as we are growing up in our stack. So with every new machine which, let's say, NVIDIA launches, so we are right now monitoring everything in a remote way. So we have a lot of tools built in house where we are tracking how machines are running, but it's working in a remote way, like how Uber is monitoring taxis in a remote way, Airbnb is monitoring hotels in a houses in a remote way. So I think this technology stack has to keep evolving. So we want to focus very aggressively on this. So that's why like a lot of our attention goes, how do we keep scaling as every new machine from NVIDIA comes about? Then when you're doing AI right now for a global audience, there is local nuances, which is, let's say, data policy nuance. There could be a regulatory nuance. So for example, if I'm using a North America machine for targeting an Indian user, how does the legality of this whole thing work? Is there even a legality to begin with? So we know that like the simple things which are like SOC 2, GDPR, those are like simple things. But how does data privacy of one person, another data center, that combination work? Some of this is solved at a AWS kind of level. So there's more learning element here. How do we incorporate that in a decentralized network? But the other element here is where the machines are sort of owned by suppliers in the setup. So there's a three-party agreement here, which is us in the center, supplier, and client. So how does that work in this triangle? How does that legality work? How does data policy work? So that's also something which you're figuring out by client, by country we are entering into. And I would say the last major aspect here is like there's still a notion that because our company started as a Web3 company, we have a token. So how do we break that barrier with major Web2 clients that, hey, we mean serious business, we are
Yeah.
looking at enterprises. So there's that whole, I would say, dance which you're also doing with each major client just to convince them, making them use our product so that they are able to also agree that this is actually enterprise ready for them as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Initially, when I asked you, Raj, about what sectors is the product more adoptive, or which sectors are more receptive to the product, you mentioned an interesting fact about sectors being divided more by geography and less by, say, the type of or kind of work that they do.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you a geography specific question, because especially when we talk about technology, the way it dissipates in different geographies, it looks completely different. So, does
Mhm.
IO tailor its products for design or tailor products for different geographies in different ways? As well as, how do you see the tech itself growing in different geographies? Have you seen a certain difference, say, in North America versus East Asia and so on?
Fair. I think that's a good question. So interestingly, our AI stack is majorly used by Asian and Eastern European users and developers, to be more exact. So one thing which we saw is like we compared like why we were also like confused why are people in Eastern Europe and Asia using us versus not using, let's say, the North American alternates of the AI stack. And what we ended up realizing is that they're like small things which actually make a world of difference. So when you use any of the US based AI solutions, they are very much granular on payment options that are actually born out of US. Like,
Okay.
for example, having Stripe payments. Stripe payments will require credit card and debit card. Now, you being from India, you know, like the penetration of credit card and debit card versus the penetration of UPI, there's a world of a
Huge,
difference.
huge difference. Yeah.
So I think those learnings are being incorporated into our product now because we saw usage in these places. We did customer related understanding sessions, getting to know why they're using us, how they're using us. And what we realized is like in these markets, when I see Asia and Eastern Europe, I would minus Greater China in this for this time. So the developers here are coming to us to design end customer applications, which could be a health application, it could be a image filter for social media, but very end customer kind of a thing where the instant person who uses it maybe uses it as a free application or maybe pays a small amount of money to use the premium features. So that's a set of clientele we are seeing here. When you put Greater China related users or you put North American users into this, so the solution changes to more infra. Like they want more model training, they want big machines to support model training, they want token speed to be much faster than versus what it is already, because they are trying to make a stack to sell as an enterprise to someone. So that's one difference which you see. And in this whole thing, the targeting changes based on the inputs we are learning as we go. For example, the UPI example which I gave. So based on that, we learned we need more diverse payment options. When we see users are using it for end client, so that automatically means like we should invest less on making our desktop more beautiful and more in ensuring our API works much faster. So those learnings are also getting incorporated as we go moving forward with each of these clients.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, Raj, that your strategy has played a key role in IO.net's growth, as well as, of course, previously at Binance and Uber. How has your own strategy sort of shifted in terms of, say, GTM or product growth? Because most of the entrepreneurs in the Web3 space, that's what they struggle with. A lot of devs having great products, but not knowing what strategy, what is the right GTM strategy. And of course, there are a number of marketing firms that are trying to capital around the space. But what has been like a short strategy that's worked for IO.net? And how have you, at the helm of strategy and business development, led products?
Fair. So I would say like probably a nuanced answer here. Uh, I think of myself not as a very specialized product person or something like that. But one thing which I'm decently good at is understanding how users are using something. That involves a good amount of looking at data. That involves a good amount of looking at customer reviews, talking to customers, every tiny feedback which people leave here and there, I think that's the gem which everyone should focus on. Typically, in any early stage startup, like if a founder or if a developer feels they have a very beautiful product and no one is using it, I think that's a wrong psyche to begin with. Because have they invested enough to get feedback on a product? No product can be beautiful from day one. Like even if you look at Chat GPT, which launched, I would say about a year plus back, and the Chat GPT of today, it would have not been to this level had they not been taking customer feedback, looking at how customers are using their application, those things. So any product which you launch and which you feel is beautiful today, I think you will beat and reshape it multiple times across your journey as a founder or a developer with that
Absolutely.
product. So, what is more useful in this set of things is find a set of people who are willing to give you genuine feedback to improve your product and incorporate that genuine feedback and go back to them. Like, is it now helping you?
Exactly.
Because once a product reaches that state where even if it's helping, let's say, 100 people across the globe, that's a very good place to be at, because those 100 people can be your voice in every place they are, and they can, even if each of those 100 refer one person a month to you, that's scaling exponentially by the end of the year. So I would say like that's a place where I feel the biggest strength is like I won't say I'm an expert in that, but like if something is not working, I do not go into that void that I have a beautiful product, why are people not using it. I would prefer to look at user data, talk to users just to understand maybe I'm making a mistake which they know and I don't know. So that's one thing I would probably suggest.
Yeah, so ideally, user feedback is one of the most important things, I think, for any business
Yeah.
to scale up, you rightly said. And while we're talking about all the tech that we have, I think a great wrapping the interview up question would be, and it's something that I almost ask all my guests, that with, of course, the convergence of so many technologies that we're seeing, and you for sure come from a tech background, an IIT, and I must say so. If you can shed a little bit light on what technologies and their conversion is something that is going to change the world as we see it. And I'm sure that you will be adding AI somewhere into it. But if you can talk about certain techs that you are really keen and excited about and how they're going to shape, say, the face of the world.
Fair. I think the first tech is the whole Web3 thing which is playing out. I think when I joined Binance, so the skepticism I faced from different people, my friends, my colleagues on joining a crypto company,
Yeah.
to the I would say to the benefit which people now have. Like if they have a crypto question, they ping me how to do this, how to use a wallet, and those things. So I think that's one technology which I actually feel should be taught in schools. To
Yeah.
be honest, like
Absolutely.
literally tell people how this works, how money works, those kind of things. So that's one. I think the more people know about it, the more it is for the larger society. Second, as you rightly mentioned, is AI. I think today AI, the cost of using AI is becoming significantly less. I won't say it's as less in Asia, specifically India, Southeast Asia, these places yet, because it's still I would say the prices are still slightly from the developed country side of the world. But there are a lot of good founders who are trying to bring that cost down as well. But if anyone can get access to AI, whether in their college, in their schools, they just start experimenting with AI. Just see the limitations of it, see how you can incorporate that into your daily life. Like for example, a very simple thing like I was thinking this just 2 days back. Like, there's a lot of people who are like gym trainers, typically in India and a lot of places. They could easily be using AI to design diet plans and workout
Yeah.
plans for their client. But I don't see any of them. They are typically follow like they would have learned something from their previous trainer and they just copy that. So there's a lot of small nuances. And you can do it for free because ChatGPT free can easily give you that. So that's one simple way, like integrate AI into your life. That's the second trend I would see where you can focus on. And I would say third is probably getting used to working in a collaborative and a remote open source kind of a way. I think this is something which I learned at IO. Like the power of open source development, open source communities. Like what did DeepSeek do to the whole closed door models? Uh, it was like it was like historical as a movement, I would say. Like a model comes randomly, half the cost, open source, anyone can download and use it, versus billions of dollars put into, let's say, every major model in US right now. So And it also brought the shift, like everyone is now trying to look at things from an open source perspective. So going into those places, reading those blogs, how did these decisions got made, what's the rationale of keeping it open source, I think that also helps the future set of developers and founders out there to probably learn how they can impact society as well. So I think that would be the third thing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for those great points. And I'm sure that all of these tools, I hope rather, that all of these tools are used to the betterment of the society, the larger humanity. And that should be at the core of all of these technologies, unlike what we see in sci fi movies, which is a world taken over by
Yeah.
robots. So hoping for all the optimistic things that AI, blockchain, and of course the conversion of these technologies can provide us. This indeed, Raj, has been a great chat, and I, of course, got to know a lot about IO.net and how the space at large of AI marketplaces, decentralized AI marketplaces, is working out. And kudos to you guys and the team for building such an amazing marketplace. And I'll be looking out for IO.net and what is in store in the future from you guys. And definitely keep me in loop about all the amazing news that you spoke about. Would be happy to talk more about it as these developments take shape. Once again, thank you so
Awesome.
much, Raj.
Thank you, Varuni. Thank you for having me on the show. It was a pleasure.
Likewise, likewise, and we'd love to host you at another time once all of these developments are live. And till then,
Sure.
all the very best, and thank you to anyone who's joined us for this show. Keep a track of what IO.net is up to. I'm sure that they're going to be coming out with some key developments in the AI marketplace space. So check that out, guys, and thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.